We have press doing a bit of tidying up in the front yard. Still quite busy on the road outside. Few people possibly going back to work. Some most essential services out and about. Today, the US vs Julian Assange case. The Americans are releasing prisoners at risk from their prisons, including the very high-profile Manafort, and he's been released because they are worried about his safety in the prison system with this pandemic. And the UK, the Home Secretary Priti Patel, other ministers responsible for Julian's incarceration, and the UK justice system, which is keeping him there, is something that's highly shameful, and a disgrace of the rule of law, is further proof that they wish to silence the voice of a journalist and publisher who, for them, reveals the truth about the criminality of our leaders and the current policies on foreign. Here we go, another ambulance up to the Royal Free, and these circumstances that keep Julian confined, we shall possibly find out on the 1st of June. If there's any update on his liberty and his ability to consult with his legal team and his medical team, most probably first off, since he has these various underlying issues, including the vulnerability of respiratory complaints, which does not help if you contract this current virus. So the question I ask of our leaders and of our system, as it were, is that if you do not release this man in a timely fashion and give him the ample opportunity for his legal and medical needs, and here in London, the black cloud that hangs over Belmarsh prison and the terrible reputation of Governor Rob Davis, the Dr. Mengele of Her Majesty's Prison Service, known among the staff and inmates alike as the Angel of Death. Now these governors, judges, etc. who keep Julian in this condition are the ones who need to examine their own application of the rule of law, and especially this US-UK Extradition Treaty, look into the Espionage Act and the computer intrusion charges that are being laid against him. And unfortunately, on the standard of the treaty, the US only have to prove this on the balance of the lowest judicial standard, that these violations are probable, and without having to provide any conclusive evidence or anything that actually does conform to the US statutes, they are mute on. And our Foreign and Commonwealth Office, who've been deeply involved in this, in the extradition case, have been keeping their head down, and indeed that reflects on the reality of what Wikileaks revealed in terms of our foreign policy does not change from one administration to the other, but the same policies of the merchants of death and their political preachers of hate is that these wars are very necessary and that we have to keep up with the US and NATO to fulfill the treaty of the North Atlantic Alliance, which has replaced the function of the United Nations in terms of wanting to police the various hotspots, as it were, around the world, and in counting now, we have over 15 countries that have direct or indirect interference by NATO, and many more who are on the fringes, and places like Ukraine, whose attempt to turn the Baltic, the Russian Baltic fleet into a NATO naval base somewhat backfired. And the cables that Wikileaks released showed the diplomatic train of thought, and the fact that certainly on the UK and the American side, that diplomacy was actually being conducted by the military intelligence and security services, and the ambassadors are basically place people who are there to repeat the lies and the cover stories that they are provided with in memos every day, to say what the official stance is. And on that note, we'll take Julian. Excuse me. Oh, it's a bit dusty clearing out this front yard. Excuse me. And we shall pursue the US vs Julian Assange show trial as it approaches. And please keep active, keep aware that this is not just about Julian Assange's freedom, but it reflects on all our freedoms today, and the situation that unfortunately the British government have placed ourselves in. And really, I can't say it any better than the words of the Sex Pistols, is never mind the bollocks, let's see the testing. BF Press, very nice with the sun updating in the front porch.